Hi, hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess and I want to make sure you can see this. It says tax the rich. This is also one of the most comfortable crew necks that I own, and it was made and printed in the United States of America. But we are here today to shout at publishing, even though they're not listening. But recent things were coming up on Twitter, people having discussions that I thought were, well, obviously they're timely because this just came up, but also because of the Sanderson Kickstarter. I'm sorry, I sound like a broken record, and people's discussion around the future of publishing, if it's going to affect publishing, I thought this was the perfect time to talk about it instead of waiting for like my next wrap up. So pretty much from the start of my channel and the start of doing the bookcommunitea series, publishing has been a major topic because, you know, the merger or the attempted merger that's going on right now, certain things they do, choose to publish, don't choose to publish, pay inequalities. There's so many reasons I have discussed publishing here on this channel. And I think it was it last year? I don't know. It might have been at the end of 2020 that I talked about the Publishing So White piece that came out in the New York Times. If I could find that video, I will link it. But basically they had a piece that came out and it had like a graph that showed the disparities between white authors and black authors, or authors of, I think this was specifically black authors, and how that like spiked around June of 2020 after George Floyd was murdered, and then all of the, you know, worldwide protest, and then started to go back down. To my best, that's what I remember. And so we know there's disparities in publishing, and there was like a hashtag going around at the same time where people on Twitter were sharing their advances or lack thereof advances that they got for their book deals. And for most people, and not all because there's always outliers, most of the black authors that shared, their numbers were significantly lower than the white authors that shared, whether those authors were big time names or books that you had never heard of. I remember there was a guy for a book I never heard of called Cape May, I think, that had like an $800,000 advance. And then I think a bunch of booktubers read it, and I don't know if it was good. I didn't watch those vlogs, but I remember seeing that content. And then you have people like Roxane Gay, who was a huge name, and her advances were like chump change compared to that. So anyway, this publishing being a menace and being a mess is not new. So recently, I'm gonna pull these tweets up while I catch my breath because again, I'm out of breath and I didn't just walk up the stairs. This is pitiful. So someone named Molly McGee came across my timeline, and it was a screenshots of a statement, and the tweet said, "I ain't reading all that. I'm happy for you though." And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not reading it either. And then later I saw a tweet that said, 4 people and possibly counting have announced that they're leaving editorial today. I'm just ... So that was just on one day that there were 4 different editors for major publishers that announced that they were leaving their publishing group on the same day on Twitter. This was the 11th, so this was Friday. One person's tweet is, "Today is my last day at Macmillan Children's Publishing Group. It's bittersweet. I'm so grateful for the memories I've made, the people I've met, some of the best in the business, and the incredible stories I've been able to work on. I'm excited for this new adventure in a non-publishing role. I'll still be freelance book editing, and I'll be on Twitter occasionally to check in on book news. To anyone who'd like to chat about publishing, leaving the industry, and more, my DMs are open." Some personal news, as they say. Today is my last day at Orbit Books. It's been a thrill and an honor like no other to work with so many ridiculously talented authors during my time here. But I can't wait to share where I'm headed next when I can. Watch this space. And just to be clear, frequency of yelling from the rooftops about said authors will only be increasing as I graduate from their official editor to full-time dance mom. So I don't know, unfollow me now if you don't want to hear about really good books or whatever. Also, if I don't get back to you immediately today, please forgive me. I am a Virgo and will be working until they pull the plug on me. It says, some personal news. Today is my last day at Orbit as I am leaving NYC and publishing. It was one of the greatest joys of my life to work with such incredible authors, co-workers, and books. I'll dearly miss it. Much love to you all. It's been an absolute dream. And so of course, people in threads were asking, why are a lot of people leaving publishing? And a lot of people were contributing answers like, in short, they are very overworked, very underpaid, and expected to live in one of the world's most expensive cities when the last 2 years have proved there's no good reason for it. And so while the others just made their general statements, Molly really dug deep, and I appreciate that. As some of you may have heard, Today is my last day at Tor Books. My promotion request was denied, and as such, I am leaving as my first acquisition, the marvelous The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake, debuts at number 3 on the New York Times bestseller list. For those of you not familiar with editorial structure at publishing houses, making the New York Times is a career high for an editor. It is rare for an assistant to do so, and by all accounts, this should be a great beginning and not a heartbreaking end. But it has been made clear to me that I would need more training before being promoted from an assistant position, and that it would be unrealistic for me to leave the admin duties of assisting anytime within the next 5 years. After 8 years of experience working in the publishing industry, I decided 10 years of assisting would be my limit, let alone 15. It has been an honor working with Debbie Pillai. She is a genius, and the TDA staff, as well as Macmillan at large. This is not a TDA specific issue or even a Macmillan one. Rather, it is an indicator of a system-wide prejudice against junior employees rooted in the invisibility of junior employees' workload. Many executives in the publishing industry are technologically illiterate. They cannot use their own databases, pull their own manuscripts, organize their own inboxes, or navigate the constant influx of new technology. As such, this often falls on junior employees who are expected to perform both full-time admin work in addition to their full-time jobs. Each time a junior employee is told they do not have enough experience to pursue their career, I hear a common refrain used by employers who do not understand their own systems or the workload of their own employees. As we move to increasing reliance on technology in an environment where technological literacy is paramount, publishing companies should consider investing in their digitally native employees who maintain the systems that keep their companies running. As less and less companies choose to do so, it is no wonder we are seeing such high turnover in these roles. When the great masters of editing die or retire, what will happen to all their apprentices? Like me, they will have left before they became a master themselves. Sooner, great publishers will be staffed with only novices. I find myself asking, what will books look like then? And so, not to insinuate that the other people were lying, like they don't have to give a reason or a lengthy statement about why they left, and it could have been they just decided to make a transition, or it could be these reasons, but there's been a lot of talk on Twitter about this, and most of publishing is based in New York City for America, which is one of the most expensive cities to live in. I was looking at general numbers, and now, of course, these are just general numbers, not specific. And of course, there's a lot of different things that can go into it. People can live with roommates, or maybe they don't live in New York City, they commute in, but that's still expensive. And, you know, as an adult, you shouldn't have to live with roommates to be able to afford to live somewhere. All jobs, I think, should pay enough that you can afford your own apartment. And that's just not the truth for many people in the United States. So again, averages, these are averages for boroughs in New York City for a 1-bedroom apartment. The lowest was Staten Island, which I don't think is, I feel like is far out, I don't know the geography, was $1,488. Queens, $2,092. The Bronx, $2,312. Brooklyn, $3,100. And Manhattan was $4,163. Now, these are averages. Of course, there's probably gonna be some below that and some above that, depending on like where they are, condition, all of those things. But that's just the rough number. Of course, a lot of people use public transportation, which isn't free. This average said that a 30-day Metro Pass costs $127, which is $1,524 annually for unlimited subway and buses. You gotta think of food, utilities, if those are included in the rent or not. All of these things, living is expensive. And I saw that I don't know what the average is, but I saw an article that was saying, and it might have come out a couple years ago. It came out 2020 that said Macmillan CEO raises the entry-level pay, and it was to $42,000. $42,000. Let me get out my calculator here. 42,000 divided by, one extra zero, divided by 12. That's only $3,500 a month, and that's before taxes. And so let's say if just $500 came out of their taxes. Okay. And then your rent is, let's say it's just $1,500. Then you're already down to $1,500 and you still have to pay for everything else. You have to pay for food. And like, these are just necessities. People should be able to have fun also. And that's saying you only got that much taken out of your taxes. Then you have to think about health insurance. Are you putting something into a 401k or trying to save? Like, that is ridiculous. And of course I was trying to look for like CEO salaries and I couldn't find any numbers, but these people who are CEOs of these publishing companies are worth millions of dollars. So they are at least getting a 6-figure salary, at least. And you know, it's probably in the high high six figures. And then if people want to be like, well, publishing's not doing well or books are not doing well, false. The last couple of years, I've continued to see articles put out about book sales rising, especially in the pandemic, which a lot of publishers were worried that they were going to suffer, but they've actually flourished and done better than they expected with the pandemic. This thing in publishing, Publishers House Weekly, they had one for 2020 and then also for 2021. And they said that print books had huge sales in 2021. Overall sales rose by 8.9% in 2021 over 2020, which are already doing great numbers. So they sold 825.7, I don't know how you sell 0.7, units last year, which were up from the 757.9 million they sold in 2020. And it goes through the breakdown, all of the different like genres. I think young adult had the biggest increase, but they saw increases on adult fiction, nonfiction. They had a huge increase in like graphic novels, which is amazing. I love that more people are reading or more people are buying books. I love this because back in the day when Kindle came out, people were really scared that print books were going to be a no-go, and we obviously see that they are flourishing, both of them. And so if print books are doing well and audiobooks are doing well, I know that, ebooks, graphic novels, all of these things are doing well. These CEOs are making enough money. One of them, these companies have enough money to put $2 billion on the table to buy another publishing company, and yet you can't pay your employees. It's every corporation. It's like the people at the top who do the least amount of work get the most money. And the people down here who are busting their ass day in, day out get the least amount. And they don't get to enjoy their lives because they're working their lives away. And I call bullshit. And of course, my battery's gonna die. I can't keep a charged battery to save my life. Anyway, all of this to say, of course, I'll have all these things linked. But I'm just frustrated because of the conversation around Sanderson, is that changing publishing? And more authors should do this, or publishers. And it's like, they don't, even with the model they're doing now, publishers aren't paying the people who are doing the work enough money. And so many people are leaving and they're gonna have high turnover. And I thought that was really shocking how Molly pointed out how many senior people they have in the company that can't keep up with technology, which must be frustrating for them, I'm sure. But also, why wouldn't you give opportunities and promote the people who are doing well with that? But you want to keep them down here doing all this admin work and all of this stuff in addition to their editing, which I can't imagine. And then you want to put other things on top of that, like telling them that they should be responsible for helping authors make YouTube channels and be more present on social media. Like, it's unreal. So I don't know what the solution is, because really the solution is for people to stop making so much goddamn money at the top and paying people above living wages so that people can work a regular amount of time and be able to pay their bills and have health insurance. Although health insurance should not be tied to employment, but that's a separate conversation. And be able to save and be able to take vacations. But that's capitalism for you. It's an absolute disease and it's fucking garbage. So I think this is the big concern in publishing, because if people keep leaving, I mean, she said she'd been there for 8 years. And they're saying they wouldn't be seeing themselves promoting her for another 5? Are you serious? Who would want to stay in that role that long? If you're like, I'm obviously doing the work, and they don't want to promote, not even 6 months, a year, 5 years, you're saying? I think that's ridiculous. So people like this who are young, who are, knowing what people are wanting to read and what's trending and how to keep up with technology and stuff, they are important. And I just think, I'm not trying to be ageist, but in a lot of things in America are dominated by people who just like don't want to leave. And part of those reasons might be because of how America is set up, and they're like, well, I'm going to keep working because I can't retire, which totally understand. But I don't know. I don't know what we can do as consumers. Obviously we can keep supporting authors, and by supporting authors and buying their books, you're supporting all the people who work at these publishing houses, because just so much is not up to us. And it's just really frustrating, because the CEOs are going to sit up here and they're going to say all these things, and they're going to go to the little meetings and take home all their money, but the other people down there are working late nights, working overtime, and barely getting by. And those are the people we need to edit these books and, go through all the thing and market these books and acquire these authors. So it's like publishing.
What's going on?
It's really sad. It's really sad because I love books and so many people dream of working in publishing, and it should be a more affordable place. There should be more opportunities for advancement, and at the end of the day, I don't know. I just wanted to talk about this, get your thoughts or your feedback, or if any of you work in or maybe publishing adjacent, anything you want to add to the conversation, I'd love to hear it down below, or just any of your general thoughts. So it's definitely just something I'll be watching to see, you know, if I notice any more people. And those are just people who made it public on Twitter. You know, there are other people. But I don't want to see... There's a lot of industries right now that are having a lot of people leave them because of the way they're treated. And sometimes, not always, but a lot of times, the lack of money they're being paid. It's really a sad time right now amidst a lot of things going on. So, I don't know. Just thought I'd let you know, and would love to hear your thoughts, but thanks so much for watching this video. Give it a like, subscribe, check out the description. Of course, I'll have links to those articles and threads on Twitter, but thank you so much for watching. I hope you stay blessed, hydrated, moisturized, and sunscreened, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!